Buzz on Galaxy Television, today being Thursday, the 23rd of June 2022. My name is Patience, a pleasure to be here as always. And on this lifestyle edition, I have the regulars at the table. Joining me is Mrs. Uche Ideho, who is an administrator. She's also an author. She wrote the book, The Right Way to Court, and she is a relationship counselor. Good afternoon to you, Mrs. Ideho.
Good afternoon.
A pleasure to have you here. And I dare say you look good this afternoon. Also in our midst, Mr. Somi Uranta, aka Mr. James Bond himself, is back this week. He is an author himself. He's written a lot of books, and the latest is Contradictions, a book that draws from lessons life teaches you. She's also a life coach. She's a philosopher, amongst other things. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Somi Uranta.
Good afternoon. Good to be here.
Good to have you here. Also here, of course, the class monitor herself, Pastor Dolly, is back this Thursday afternoon. She is an author. She wrote the book, Beneath the Glamour, a book that talks about the secret lives, pains, joys of being a pastor's wife. And she's also a minister of God, evidently. And she is a relationship and marriage counselor. Good afternoon to you, Pastor Dolly.
Good afternoon, Patience.
A pleasure to have you all at the table.
Always nice to be here.
And of course, not forgetting to welcome our ever supportive viewers. Thank you for always tuning in. And let's not forget the lines on the screen are there for us to interact on the program this afternoon. All right, let's keep it to text messages and WhatsApp messages only. All right, so going straight into the lineup for this afternoon, let's start by reacting to a very disturbing video that has gone viral on social media. It's actually about a young lady who is who has been simply identified as Aduke. Well, this lady took to her WhatsApp status some days back to seek for help after her boyfriend, whom has been identified as Wan Fatai, gathered some of his friends to flog her for allegedly being unfaithful to him. Now, in the video, quite a lengthy video, you will see. All right, this particular video has elicited very strong reactions from Nigerians, you know, many of whom have called on the Nigerian police to take action. And thankfully, the Kwara State Police Command has confirmed the arrest of Aduke's boyfriend and his friends who actually flogged her in that particular video. All right, all of them were paraded on Tuesday by the Kwara State Police Command. Okay, so back to you guys. Quite disturbing video, I have to say. I have my opinions about this, but then let me keep those to myself. Let me start with you, Mrs. Ideho. What do you think about this?
It's really so unfortunate.
Very.
You know, I've not watched the video before, I just saw it.
Wow.
But it's really unfortunate for somebody you called your boyfriend and for the boy to gather his friends. So the intention was actually to humiliate you, the person, and it's obvious that there was nothing like love in between them. In situations like this, you discover that it's either the guy is the one sponsoring everything. It's like he has bought the girl, so he has everything about the girl into him. You know, for you to.
When you say bought everything, I'd like you to elaborate.
No, I have situations like this where you discover the girl saying that it is the boy that is responsible for my schooling and for everything, you know. So it's more or less you are indebted to him because the boy did not even give her
indebted to that point where he feels like he owns you. Okay, all right.
He didn't even give her any room to defend or to act. So probably, let's just say he caught her in the act or whatever, but at least the girl should have been given a room to defend herself if it is true or not. But he just called her for the purpose of humiliating her and beating her. No, for that boy to have that confidence to do that, it simply means I own you. Whatever, everything about you belongs to me. And for me, it's really, really, it's unfortunate. That's all I could say. All
right, Mr. Somi, let's have your reaction.
You know, what comes to mind as I was watching the video, you know, it's what happened, it's still a scenario that occurred while, those days when Christ was around, and people were to stone a girl, and he said, the girl ran to him, and they wanted to carry out the injunction as it has always been, and he said, whoever amongst you that is without sin should cast the first stone. And they started dropping their stones, and they walked away. This is hypocrisy. Who amongst all those people that are so faithful? Faithful to who? They are not married in the first place. They are bachelors, and the girl is a spinster. So on what authority are they proclaiming justice and going on to execute judgment on the girl by flogging her? Thank God that we are not in the state of nature, even though the society is gradually sliding back into the Obesian state of nature, where life is short, brutish, nasty, and might is right. But we still have some bit of law that guide our behavior. You can't wake up and begin to subjugate another human being, remove the person's willpower, and just act as if you are in the jungle. One animal will wake up and he oppress the other one, So thank God that the law have taken its course to the extent of to which that they have been arrested.
Yeah.
And then the law should exercise its liberty to proclaim and take it to its logical conclusion. Because we are not in a jungle.
Thank you, Mr. Somi. Pastor Dolly, let's have your input.
Just like Mr. Somi said, we are not in a jungle. Because even if they were married to her legally, even if he was legally married to her, there is still a process. If your wife is caught in a very act of adultery, you were supposed to first say you married her from a family. You were supposed to inform her family if the marriage was traditional or whatever. You were supposed to inform her family of her misbehavior with proof, not just hearsay. Because even when you look at what they were speaking there, they were asking her, Ibololo, where did you go? So, which means you didn't know where she went. That's why you're asking where she went. So maybe it's just like suspicion that is happening here, and you want to deal with her as if she's a lesser human being. That she's your girlfriend doesn't make her a lesser human being. You don't have any authority over her. You don't have right over her. You did not marry her from anybody. You did not pay bride price on her to anybody. And even if you did, that does not give you right to treat her like a lesser human being. I think, like they have been arrested, we just pray that the law will take its due course. It's not a case of, because we hear and see so many arrests, and that's the end of the case. It shouldn't be, oh, we arrested, and that's the end of the case. Because sometimes some people need to be used as a deterrent so that we can stop some of these things. Just like he said, our society has become so violent. People just do things as if we live
laws into their hands,
as if we live in a lawless society. For crying out loud, the last time I checked, there are still laws that governs us as a people. So whenever there is a wrong that is done to you, you are supposed to use the law to settle the case. You can't just wake up, you just bring your friends because she's a weaker vessel. Then you just bring if she's a fellow man like him, can he bring his friends to come and flog him? No. He knows that when you succeed in flogging today, there will be another place where they will meet. But now you are meet a woman who doesn't have strength to defend herself. Probably you look at her family background, you know that she has nobody to defend her, and you decided to take the laws into your hands.
Thank you.
I think this is very wrong, and it should not continue. We cannot continue to live like this, really. We cannot. For me, I'm just looking at them as people who are capable of people using their girlfriends for rituals. Because what they have is not love. They never loved her. It was just using her. For him, she's just like one of the pieces of furniture in his house.
Thank you, Pastor Dolly, Mr. Somi, and Mrs. Ideho. Thank you for your summation. Well said. But I want to bring to the fore some angles, that we have not looked at in this situation. Two things, both of them intertwined. The first one, upbringing. Second is culture of violence in our society. Now, let me expatiate on that. Upbringing in the sense that the way we are raised in Africa, let me use Africa, we are raised without love. When I say love, I mean public display, show of love, even mother to child, father to child, which translate into an adult who is constantly on the lookout for who will love me. If you don't understand what I'm trying to say, is in most homes, fathers, mothers don't express that kind of love to their children, which is why when they step out and then a man somewhere just says I love you to you once, or shows you some kind of affection, you know, or treats you nicely or whatever.
Kind.
Do you understand? You literally lay your life on the altar for that person. And this is not the first time we are seeing this kind of a video. That's why I'm talking about upbringing here. We've seen a lot of ladies who have gone through this kind of humiliation in public. We've seen cases of boyfriends stripping girlfriends naked outside because they bought the outfits or the wig or whatever that she's putting on because they saw her with another man. Now that is the role upbringing plays in the life of the adults who have become in the society, where you don't place value on yourself and you allow another person who is not even married to you, by the way, you know, to do whatever they want to do with you. That's on the one hand. And secondly, the acceptance of this culture of violence in our society, where people are very quick to lay hands on people. That they feel like they have the right to lay hands on people. They feel like because they caught you doing something, they have the right to take your life. Jungle justice is now the order of the day, you know. Any suspicion of anything, they pour petrol and they are burning somebody, and then we look away. So let's talk about all these issues that I've raised regarding this story.
Let me start from the upbringing. You know, the economic factor in Nigeria is also helping issues. You know, you have a family of 5 or 4, and the parents can obviously not take care of them. And this lady at the age, most time you look at them, that lady can be more than 20.
In her 20s, yes.
So on. And I have a case study where a lady was sent to school by another guy. He paid the school fees and everything, and she's finally out of school, and she's a graduate now. But still, she still feels that he owns this guy everything. And the guy is not ready to marry her. The guy is giving her condition, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And I asked the girl, why don't you go back to your family? But obviously there's no family to go back to. You know, so people like this, the parents themselves, I wouldn't say it's an excuse for you to just allow your child. You discover some homes, it's even these children that bring what they are eating at home. So if a girl she's the one bringing what people are eating at home, you don't even have the right to say, where are you going to? This kind of a boy could go to the girl's house and still tell the mother, bring water for me to drink, and the mother might even go as far as bringing water. Or
even beat the child in front of the
mother, and the mother might even tell the child, the girl, that you are the one that provoked him. Don't provoke him again. I know that that's not even really an excuse. Economic factor is playing out here. Some of these people, it's not that they actually intend to live their life like this, but somehow they will tell you that they have no choice. And you know, when you are counseling them, they will see, some of them will tell you, you don't even know what I'm going through. You know, so Nigeria's situation is also helping a lot of people to live life like that. And even the issue of violence too. You discover that there are little things that you do that provoke some action. You'll be wondering that, is this just little thing that is provoking this anger in us? I think I would take it back to economic factor in Nigeria that is really helping upbringing and violence almost.
Okay, everywhere. Thank you, Mrs. Sidel. Mr. Somi.
Yeah, I think it's not really that the society approves or accepts violence as a way of life, but there is what I look at as an oppressive lifestyle of the average Nigerian.
Okay.
We would love to oppress the other person. Everybody wants to use his or her position, you know, as an advantage over the other person. You see, everywhere you go, you see somebody who has one advantage over the other person, try to lord it over the other person. That is what society have actually consented to or accepted as a way of life. Not that, of course, society do not approve of violence. We are all condemning it. But what society have permitted is this lording it over the other person. More like a situation where everybody wants to see someone who has a uniform, whether borrowed or gotten or whatever rank or no rank at all. you see him want to tell you that he's a
Also,
bigger person than you
yeah,
are.
exactly, his authority.
So yes, you know,
yeah.
you keep on showing off in the way, and the whole thing, that's why our problem is leadership. Nigeria needs kind of leadership that respects people, that, you know, this ostentatious, borrowed ostentatious life that we are living, if you have 10 naira, you want to live as if you have 1 million. Yeah, someone can say it's positive thinking and all that, but it's beyond that. You know, it makes people live a fake life, a life that cannot match with reality, a theoretical life that cannot match with reality. When the chips are down, you find out that we are living on a quicksand. You know, when a country goes to borrow money to show up, say, look, we have borrowed money, we have. Yet people will take the whole thing and pocket it, and then nothing there. When you come around, you can't even see what is the money is spent on. So you can trace this thing to different areas of our life.
Exactly.
You know? So that is what I think.
Thank you.
Not per se that we will accept violence, we do not.
All right, Pastor Dolly.
And sometimes too, we seem to be putting much emphasis on when we're talking about bringing up our children well. The emphasis is always on the female child, you know, that they should be raised well so they can be a good wife tomorrow and all that. Nobody is really talking about the male child becoming a good husband, becoming a responsible man in the society. You know, we don't know that, yes, the men, they say they are, of course, they are the head of the home. We know that. We accept that fact. But if the head is corrupt, what happens to the body? The body will be corrupt. So the importance of training the male child to respect the other gender, it cannot be overemphasized, because that is actually where the whole thing rests on. If that side of it is not well handled, then we can never think of having a sane society, a society that's where you have children that are well behaved. You know, it is the training that they get from home. If they are trained to respect women, they are trained to respect their sisters. When they see other women outside, they know that, yeah, we have to respect our sisters.
Thank you.
But in a home where everything is about the girl, you have not sweat, you need to cook, you know, you are a woman, no, you are going to marry tomorrow. We are not also letting these boys know that, look, you are a man. Tomorrow you are going to marry, you're going to be a husband, you're going to be the head of a family.
Be a father.
You're going to be a father. We must be able to sink it into their head as well, so that when they go out, that consciousness will be there in them. I'm going to be a father. What kind of a father do I want to be?
I need to be responsible.
You understand? And then when we go back to the economic aspect of it, oh, some homes, they don't have enough to take care of their children. That is why the children now rest on men outside, so the men can treat them the way they are, the way they want. And sometimes even the mothers, they support the men to treat their children the way they want to treat them.
Because of what they are bringing home.
You see, when we talk about sinner climb, we call them sinner climb because they decided to do things differently from the way they were doing it. I keep saying this, they were where we are now before. They decided to move from where we are now. That is why you will see somebody, he knows the income he's receiving in what we call the sinner climb, and they will decide, oh, because of my income, it's very meager, I don't want to have a child. I don't want to bring any child to this world that will come and suffer. And the society allow them. They allow them to be. But here we see people that one man in one room is having maybe 2-3 wives in one room, and is having like 12 children, 20 children in one room. It doesn't make sense. And when you ask them, why do you have to go through this? They will tell you it's God that is bringing it. Like I keep telling them, it's not God. It is you
made the decision.
who will sleep with a woman, and she's having children for you. It is you, woman, who sleep with a man, and you're having children with a man. You can decide not to do that.
Thank you so much, Pastor Dolly.
So don't push your responsibility to God.
All right, we have to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll give our closing thoughts on this issue. We'll be right back. All right, so to conclude on this issue, young ladies, I would actually like for us to advise young ladies out there, especially those ones who are still single and are yet to find their feet on this culture of expecting a man to literally take over every aspect of your life. Don't be totally dependent on these young guys outside, because that's what gives them the audacity to think they can do with you whatever they want. I mean, imagine if it is that guy who bought you your iPhone, you know, bought you the wig, bought you makeup, you know, but even takes you shopping for clothes, for shoes, and then maybe puts you on a stipend every month and or whatever, and all of that. So to an extent, he feels like you are his property. Having said that, I do know that gifts comes with being in relationship and loving someone. You know, that's like an expression of how you feel about somebody. That is understandable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't gift people or expect to be gifted. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying where young ladies just totally feel like for every man who walks up to them, you understand, and you have already like a long list of responsibilities that person should take over in your life and all of that. They take over those responsibilities, yes they do, but then they also take over ownership of your life. That is the bad side. Quickly, 10 seconds, let's conclude.
Okay, I would say that the foundation is what counts, and that is our home. I want to advise mothers, for your female children, build this self-confidence in them, build love. A child that comes from a home where she's being told you are the best, you are beautiful, I don't think she will be enticed by somebody saying I can turn you to be a princess that you are. But if she knows already that she's a princess, her parents from the home, from the family, she has been adored, most of them run into the hands of these people out there because they just simply want to be loved. So mothers, we have a lot to do for our children. Let's build a female, that self-confidence for them before they leave the home.
Thank you. Mr. Somi, in 10 seconds, sir.
Yeah, it's, you know, there's, at the risk of sounding cliche, they said the one who calls the tune, I mean, who plays the piper, calls the tune, he detects, you know, what's happened. But that's no reason anyway. It's just that I will speak to our young ladies, even the men too, the need to imbibe entrepreneurial attitude to life. Get a product, get a service you will give out. Don't depend on, just like Nigeria, we are depending on the things God has put on the ground without putting any input to it. You know, add value to whatever you have so that you place value on the table. That also raises the value of you as a human being. Because if you don't have if there's nothing in a bag, it will fall. You cannot expect it to stand upright. So the issue that occurred now between the men, those guys, and the lady, maybe the guy has been doing better. I also do not see any reason why that kind of action should take, even for your wife. But people should learn to be independent in terms of entrepreneurial skill acquisition.
Thank you, Mr. Somi. Pastor Dolly, 10 seconds.
At the end of the day, it is basically because the girl is not financially independent that will make a man really treat her like that. I think I've always advocated for that. Women should be empowered. Is an empowered child that becomes an empowered young girl that becomes an empowered woman. So the first thing a young girl should think about is how to get herself empowered, so that tomorrow you don't need to depend on anybody. You don't need to go through such humiliation in order for you to feed. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody. And just to put it out there for the young men who are dating young ladies out there, you do not have any absolute right to lay a finger on anybody just because you're in a relationship. Even for husband to wife self, it is still assault and a crime in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I don't know what the lot of these young men will be now that they are in police custody, but if the law should be tested to its full strength, I know they can be charged for very serious criminal offenses due to what they have done. So please, let's be mindful. She's your girlfriend, he's your boyfriend, doesn't mean you can punch, you can slap, you can flog, or do whatever you want to do. To an extent, some even pour acid and do bodily harm, just all in the name of I'm in love with you. I don't want to do again. Look, you don't do those kind of things. Let us have sense as a people. Let's read some messages very quickly. And I think we're starting from WhatsApp this afternoon. Idialu from Garki in Abuja says those people that flogged that girl, they should lock them inside the prison for 5 years so that their eyes will be clear. All right. Text messages here. This one says, it's very sad. I agree with you, Patience. We need to show our children and spouses more open love. Don't only say it, show it. Hug them publicly. Sincerely, I had to tell my husband that I prefer he hugs me in public than in the room. I hug my daughters and I tell them publicly that they are special and I love them. I insist their father does the same too. Once they know they have parents who love them, you can't sweep them off their feet outside. Olushola from Redemption Camp. Thank you. And then you came back with, my father tells me that I am an asset to whoever marries me, and I am saying same to my 4 daughters. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Olushola from Redemption Camp. You know, talking about your father just reminded me of something very quickly. I always like to share aspects of my life because, you know, this is a very relatable program. You know, growing up as a young girl, one thing I learned from my father was you can't afford to be stranded. Do you understand? Like, that can never go away. Even if you're trekking from here to the bus stop there, he will give you money and tell you, in case. Do you understand? Please, you need to treat your children right. That is what helps them to hold their head high outside there. All right, let's read more messages. This other one says, good afternoon. Greetings to the panelists. Why can't that lady reach out for good pepper spray for their eyes? That guy is very mean and unpolished. Thank you, Ola from Ikorodu. Now, Simeon from Lagos says, this is to show the failure from government. No system is working, no fear in the land. This other one says, good day. MZ Young, the boyfriend should be seriously dealt with, because it's not that they are married, they are just dating. He doesn't own her yet. All right, this other one from Antonia says, this is unfortunate. This is a boyfriend, though, not husband. This is unacceptable. Our girls should wake up and have self-decency and worth. They could have killed her and nothing will happen to them. All right, any man who tries to maltreat a wife should also think of his behavior. I don't understand. All right. Please, this program does not promote violence. So I'm going to take this as a very comical one. Says, the girl na mumu, so no bottle around to break for their head.
when so many men are holding,
she was overpowered, yes, and scared, and she was scared. She wasn't expecting it, so amen. All right, Godwin from Onitsha says, good day, Sister Pat. We should learn to be morally clean. Poverty is not an excuse. And one quick last one. Many men do not recognize women. That is where it starts from. Thank you, Uche from Unewi.